Today we welcome Michael Cantrell to the non-league radio show. Hello, Michael.
Hey, how's it going? Good to be
Excellent,
here.
excellent. Yeah, in a cold north of England. Anyway, we're going to talk about Athletic Club Raleigh on the show. But before we do that, could we tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. My name's Michael Cantrell. I'm a co-founder of Athletic Club Raleigh. I've been playing the beautiful game for, it's been probably 19, 20 years now. Or sorry, even longer than that, 25 to 28 years now. Fell in love with the game from the start. It's always been my number one sport. Obviously, in the U.S., there's a lot of competition for athletes with basketball and football, and did a little bit of that growing up. But around the age of like 8 or 9, I really decided that soccer was or football for you guys was a sport for me, and just fell in love with what the beautiful game is. It's a creative thing. It's obviously a very athletic sport. It's a lot of running, a lot of commitment, and the togetherness that football can bring is just something beautiful and something I've been passionate about for a long time and haven't stopped. So I was playing throughout my youth with one of the top clubs in our area. I was recruited a little bit for some smaller schools and decided to instead go to university for academics completely. Played a little bit of like club soccer or like the second team for the school that I went to, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and had a great time doing that. While I was in college, started my first personal training company with a couple of friends, which was a really successful adventure. And recently sold my stake in that company and decided I couldn't stop doing what I was doing. Loved it too much. And now we're here with Athletic Club Raleigh with a couple of new guys that I've been working with for quite some time now, and just been having a blast working with them in the personal training sphere, working with a lot of youth players and athletes. I coach over at a school called Broughton High School, the boys over there, and then some girls over at a school called St. Mary's School in downtown Raleigh as well. So I'm staying busy on the field. My full-time gig is soccer, and that's all I really think about, running this company and running those teams. And then obviously our company, Athletic Club Raleigh, has an adult team, a non-league team that competes every weekend in the First Flight League, which is a league that plays all throughout North Carolina and brings some of the best talent in our state all into one league.
You touched on something earlier there about obviously soccer over there isn't normally the first sport. So where does soccer sort of range in what people get involved in down the ladder? Is it American football? Like you say,
Yeah.
I don't know where baseball or whichever one comes in that order. Is it third or fourth, or is it a bit further down?
Yeah, I mean, I think once you get past football and basketball, it's a little bit more up in the air. Obviously, I think football is huge throughout the entire U.S. Basketball is a little more regional, but still huge, especially in North Carolina. Basketball is probably the most played sport. You got two of the best universities in all of college basketball within 9 miles of each other, UNC and Duke. You have some great football programs too, but I think in the U.S. entirely, football is number one, basketball is number two, and then it's baseball and soccer and a little bit of hockey in certain places, but it's pretty regional after that, I would say. In North Carolina, soccer has to be number three. But if you go other places, it could be hockey, it could be baseball, it could be other things too.
Oh, good stuff. So getting on to Athletic Club Raleigh, could you tell us some history of how it all got together and some info on the club?
Gotcha. Yeah. So we're relatively new. We started in October of 2021. And like I said, I was working with another personal training company or supplemental soccer training company that I founded and decided to part ways with some of the guys that were working over there. And because, soccer is a big sport, but it's a small community compared to a lot of the other athletics in our area. So I knew a lot of the guys that were in and out of the training sphere and playing in the adult leagues and things like that. So I got together with a couple people that I had a lot of respect for, Teddy Pierce, Christian Kuba, and Ricky Chavez, who are my co-owners over at ACR or AC Raleigh. And we decided we wanted to come together and create something a little bit bigger than ourselves. A lot of people, I think, do a lot of the personal training stuff and the supplemental soccer training, private training type stuff, and want to do that type of stuff on their own and try to make their own path. And we felt like together we could, create something a little bit bigger and a little bit more than what we could individually. And so far, we've been working really well together, and we all bring different aspects to the table and different strengths and different weaknesses. And we felt like in order to do what we want to do at the biggest scale, we needed to have a diverse group. And I think in the long run, it's going to be a big payoff for us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the website now, and if people want to check it out, it's athleticclubraleigh.com. There's lots of stuff on there. There's quite a big crowd on that homepage. Is that
Yeah.
is that one of your games with that crowd there, or is that it?
No, that's just
I was going to say that's quite good
stock photo.
But there's a lot of you've touched on it, training. There's individual and small training, team training. Yeah. Then there's a big thing about this grow, rise, and drive. I wonder if you could touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. So obviously we're an adult league team, and we do the non-league stuff, but our main focus and our main drive is to train youth athletes. So the non-league stuff is really important to us, but it's really a tool to get in front of more people, to have people come watch, their own coaches play at a high level, and give ourselves an outlet to keep playing. But our main focus is working with youth athletes. So the ACR Rise and Grow and ACR Drive are all just monthly programs that we're running currently to work with our youth athletes and give as many people a flexible option to work on the technical parts of the game, to play pickup, but that's a little bit more unstructured, so that kids have time to work on the things that they want to work on without so much feedback, and go through the mistakes and learn from them, and maybe make another mistake and learn from that one, and eventually become a better player because of all the experiences that they've had themselves. And we're also incorporating sports performance training in those programs, and nutrition counseling, college advisory meetings. So we're trying to provide a holistic training package for kids of every age. Obviously, we're not asking 9-year-olds to lift 200 pounds and things like that, or go to college advisory meetings, but we're trying to set everyone up for as much success as they possibly can garner. And the kids that are coming out and working hard with us are seeing positive results, and the ones that keep coming out and keep listening to what we're doing, what we're asking them to do, and put it onto the pitch, they're improving greatly because of it.
And I notice going down, looking through the website again, your coaches, the four guys you've got there, are they your main four coaches, or have you got a lot more than that involved with different ages and stuff?
So those are actually our four owners. So we all share equity in our company. We felt like we've been around our area and how things work as far as the supplemental training stuff goes. And we see a lot of coming and going. We see a lot of revolving door action, and we kind of wanted to solve that problem ahead of time. And so we gave everybody a little bit of skin in the game, a little bit of equity in what we're doing. And we've seen some positive results as well from, creating buy-in right off the start from four really important guys who all bring things to the table that are, positive and helpful to what we're doing. We do have some other coaches that pop in and help us out. We also really try to focus on bringing in some of the college kids to come back who we've trained in our past, and give back to the kids that are in there the same shoes as them. So we've had this summer, especially, a couple guys come back and be a huge part of what we're doing this summer and our training programs. And it's been really cool to see some of the kids that I've worked with from a really young age who are now in college come in and, influence the next generation, and provide them with feedback and information that, I might not even have thought of, and their perspectives as a younger person has been really cool to be a part of, and see how they connect with players in a different way and can really motivate our athletes in a different way that, some of our older coaches just don't have that ability anymore.
And moving on to your team, your first team,
Yeah.
obviously I can see yourself, head coach, assistant coach, Teddy Pierce. What
Yeah.
sort of group have you got to have a number of first team players registered?
So right now, I think we have around 35 to 40 people on our actual roster. So I would say that's probably pretty high up on the list of all the first flight teams. I could be wrong. I don't have access to see how many they have rostered. But we have a pretty big player pool, and we have a lot of talented players. Like I said, North Carolina is a hotbed for talent in the U.S. Out of all 50 states, I'd say North Carolina is certainly in the top 10, maybe top 5 of all the states. And you got the big universities that are all competing at high levels as well. So we're getting a lot of these guys who graduate college and go on to work the 9 to 5, or they're doing something other than soccer, but they're still in love with the game and want to play. So we have a lot of youth on our team for sure. Compared to the other teams in our league, I'd say we're probably the youngest. But we also have, I'm getting minutes on our team. I'm 32 now. I have our goalies, I think, 33. So we have some older guys too. But, our team's super talented. We have some exceptional players. We have some guys who can really move the ball and see the game quickly and think quickly and have the technical ability to, keep up with their mind. And it's been really cool to watch those guys play at a high level. And again, some of these guys are kids who I've coached from a young age. I've seen play from a young age. We have a couple guys who I, coached against in high school and things like that. So it's been really cool to see a lot of these younger kids grow up and become really competent and really impressive adult who have, matured and really honed their game. And, it's been really cool to be a part of this group. And, we started our season off with a couple losses, just, I think, partly my fault and my ability to communicate things and make sure all the organizational parts of the squad were taken care of. And since a couple of losses in the first few rounds of games, we've come back, and now we're in the hunt for playoffs, and we have a pretty good chance of making playoffs in our league and potentially winning the fall season.
Great stuff. And staying on the team for a little bit, just to compare with England, I'm guessing all your guys are either must be part-time or the students, because a lot of the non-league teams in England, even lower down, players will be getting paid. And I'm guessing that's different to yourself at AC Raleigh. I like the Club Raleigh. So I'm guessing everyone is part-time if you're classed as part-time over in the States.
Yeah, everyone's part-time at this point. I mean, obviously myself and my business owners are doing soccer-related things all the time, but we're not, solely focused on the first team at all. And that's the same case for everyone in our league.
And you've just mentioned the league. I was going to ask you if you could tell a little bit about your league. And from the other guys from the States and other places I've talked to about this promotion and relegation, which seems to be a bit of a talking point, because in all we're used to in the UK is like a pyramid from bottom to top. in teams that are like non-league can make themselves all the way to the Premier League if they had the finances and the facilities. But I don't know, is that promotion and relegation from your league, or I mean, you can tell a little bit
Yeah,
about the league.
so yeah, the First Flight League recently got formed. They're a huge proponent of the promotion and relegation system, as am I. Obviously, I think it incentivizes clubs to do what they should be doing, which is going out and spending a lot of time investing in their team and investing in winning games. And so we feel over at AC Raleigh that that's such an important part of the development of U.S. soccer. First Flight League also feels that way. They're looking to partner with some other leagues in order to make that a reality, not just at the base with First Flight League, but all the way up to the regional leagues, and then you get into the USLs and things like that, trying to get that full pyramid like they do have in the UK. So we find value in what you guys do over there for sure, and we think that's a positive way to go about things, and we're hoping that trend and that we just hope that sentiment grows, and we see more and more of the promotion relegation system over here as well.
I mean, to be fair, in the UK, we've got the advantage of being small. So the traveling, obviously for yourselves, if someone moves right up, the traveling's going to be massive compared to, you can get from top to bottom here in 4 or 5 hours on a bus or an hour on a plane.
Certainly different. I think they really need to think about how they can achieve that on a regional level first. And, obviously if you're getting up into the MLS type stuff, the money's a lot different and things become a lot more possible at that level. But I think as far as promotion and relegation goes, I think it's super important to have within each state. And then if you can find ways to move that into, a regional situation, I think, it's still pretty possible.
Yeah. I'm totally on board with the promotion and relegation, because for me, even when I played other sports, if I couldn't progress and improve myself to try and win and go up a league, or if you're poor and you get relegated, you deserve to be relegated. I would want to win to try and achieve the best I could achieve, and help the team move up. So I totally agree with the promotion relegation. And as I said,
a lot of the issues without having that, and some of the other sports in the United States, like currently, I think it's the NBA or is it the NBA? It might be, yeah. The NBA is considering some sort of, or there's been articles about them considering the option of promotion and relegation, because they're seeing a lot of teams potentially lose on purpose in order to gain draft picks and things like that. So obviously in the U.S., we do like a draft system for all the college athletes moving into the professional ranks. And so teams will throw games and potentially trade away players in order to get out of those players, draft picks and money and things like that. And, they're not worried about the win-loss at that point. They're worried about, who are they picking in the next draft. And so, that's obviously incorrect incentive structure. And I think promotion and relegation obviously solves that issue pretty heavily.
Because if you could finish bottom every year, and if you're not going to get relegated, you could have teams in a lower league who are actually better than the team that's bottom. And every year, there's no incentive for those guys if they're not going to win anything. Much do they try?
The NFL have been accused of doing the same thing over the last couple of years. So it's not just us talking about stuff like that. It's actually happening. And so again, promotion and relegation seems to be the solution to that.
Totally agree. And I want to ask about your facilities, where you play your home games, and what sort of setup you have.
Yeah, so currently we play our first team home games at NC State University. They have a couple club fields that we're able to use. So they've been gracious enough to open up their doors to have us rent those facilities out on game days. It's been awesome working with them. They've been super helpful. It's very close to the center of downtown Raleigh. So we are given access to a large number of people in our area to come and watch those games. It's a nice grass field, full sized. especially early on in our fall season. It was beautifully manicured and flat, and just an absolutely perfect setup for us. So we've been super thankful to NC State for allowing us the opportunity to play out of their facilities, and we couldn't ask for a better location for us. Some of our training is done at local parks. We tend to just kind of poach around and find some places with some space to play as much as we possibly can, and we're doing the same for a lot of our youth training. But we're hoping to move into some indoor space here pretty soon for a lot of our youth training stuff, and then provide some adults with some leagues and things like that to compete in, and then an area to like hang out and watch games and just create community and a club atmosphere.
You touched on playing on grass. Does all the teams in the league play on grass, or does some play on artificial?
Yeah, it's mixed. I know one team in particular in our conference plays on turf. I think one team out of our conference we played turf. This is our first year in the league too, so we haven't actually played everyone in our league quite yet. We're still kind of in the midst of our first season, so there's a couple teams we haven't played, but two out of the six that we've played on turf. Um, and I'm a huge proponent of grass when it's reasonable. I work at a high school also. And if it rains and you got soccer and football going on at the same time, football tears those fields up pretty quick. And so, I'm a proponent for turf in situations like that. But in any other situation where grass is, viable, I'm hoping for that, obviously.
You touched on people coming to watch the games. Do you have much of a turnout at matches, or do the kids come along and watch the adults play?
Yeah, so we have a good number of our students come out to those games, which is obviously such a great feeling to see some of the kids that you influence on a weekly basis come out and watch you play. I had a bunch of my high school guys coming out and watching me play their specific position, and applying some of the things that they watched me do out onto the game field for high school, which to me is again the focus, and what this first team for us is all about is creating that connection between youth training and playing at a higher level. So stuff like that, super cool. We've had probably about 50 to 60 people at each game, home game. As far as like the facilities go, there's not a lot of wiggle room on creating a really big atmosphere and an event, giving people reasons to come out to the game that aren't the game, I think is a super important thing. And we don't necessarily have the capability to do that currently. But we're hoping over these next few years to, as we gain a little bit more favor with NC State, or we can find a location with a little more leeway, getting the food trucks out there, getting, the beer stalls out there, and making sure people can have a really good time coming out to the game and being entertained by things other than just the soccer. I think is a super important thing for us in order to get numbers out there and gain a bigger following. We're doing all the social media stuff and all that, and really pushing that hard. But at the end of the day, you got to get people out there, and you got to make sure they're having a good time.
Well, 50 and 60 isn't bad, because I see stuff coming on my Twitter feed from teams, non-league teams in England, and they're getting 50 and 60 as well. So that isn't a bad number, believe me. And I know the guy I was talking to last night, they can't progress higher, not because they can't get promoted or relegated. It's because the facilities at the club for floodlights, things like that, because they can't afford to have the floodlights and things, they can't progress forward, which is a shame.
But I think it goes back to the conversation a little bit with, soccer not being necessarily the main sport. There's a lot of competition for players, but there's a lot of competition for field space too. And I think, that's part of the reason why we're having, a little bit more trouble with that type of stuff is, there's a lot going on all the time out here, whether it's football, lacrosse has been playing, field hockey going on. Rugby is getting huge over here, especially at NC State. So you got to compete for some facilities, and Raleigh's a growing place. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, and so it's only going to get tougher.
But then you might have a bigger pull of players, which would be even better.
Yeah,
I'm
for
just,
sure, for sure. The positives and negatives.
yeah, I'm going to shout some links out here. So, Athletic Club Raleigh on Twitter as AC_Raleigh, athleticclubraleigh.com. I'll just quickly go on the website because that's got the links to the Facebook at the bottom. It's good website, by the way. Lots of information on there.
Thank you.
And then you've got Athletic Raleigh on Facebook, and then if we go to Instagram, AC Raleigh. My eyes are failing us from a distance.
Yeah, it's a complicated list of names there for sure.
But if you search Athletic Club Raleigh, you'll find everything you need to find there. So, how's your season? Before I let you go, how's the season? You're saying this is your first season in this league. How's it going up to now?
Yeah, so like I said, we didn't start well. I think we lost 4 straight games to open the season, and against some teams that we probably should have gotten some points out of. We made some poor decisions coaching wise and organizationally that I think led to some issues, especially in the first week of the season. But as a group, we really came together. We really started communicating and working together better than we were early in the season. And, we took the losses on the chin, and, we changed some of the tactical parts of the club a little bit. I changed, specifically myself, I changed my approach and how I was communicating and leading the squad. And I think that may have had a little bit of a positive impact. And we've won or tied, I think, 5 straight. And so now we're sitting second in our division, on goal differential above another team. And so the top 2 in our conference will end up going to the playoffs, alongside another 2 teams from the other conference who have been playing really well. One specifically is one of the best adult teams I've ever seen play. They have some incredibly gifted athletes. They're out in next to Fort Bragg in North Carolina, and so they got a bunch of military guys out there who are in a different level of shape than all of us, for sure.
Well, I'm looking at these results in October, and if they're league games, then you've had some talk with the players because it's quite a good goal difference being rocked up.
Yeah,
you must have had a good talk.
A couple of specific games that went pretty well for us, that's for sure. If you take out 2 of our matches, our goal difference is not quite as pretty, but we knew we were in a battle to get into the playoff spot, and when we smell blood, we make sure we take advantage of it and get the goals out of the game that we need in order to move on. And so right now we're sitting tied, but it goes to goal difference after that, and the other team that's right next to us, I think, has to score something like 17 goals in order to tie us. So very happy about where that goal difference is sitting, for sure.
Yeah, and it's the 3s each, the 2, the 12-0, and then the 1-2, and then the 17-0. It's just like the scores are great. It's just like some are really close, and then you've just obviously battered 2 teams there.
Yeah. The 12-0 game I thought was probably our best performance. I mean, that team is not a bad team. They had close results in a majority of their games. They haven't gotten a win this season, but they've kept teams a little bit closer than 12-0, that's for sure. And so I thought we stepped up big time. And again, it was just one of those moments where we smelled blood. And then that 17-0 win was, maybe put an asterisk next to that one as far as, attendance from the other team and the travel and some of the scheduling back and forth, things like that can get tricky at the semi-professional level, for sure.
Well, mate, it's been great talking to you and finding out about the club. And I will be keeping an eye on everything that's going on. And if you need anything down the line, I need help with anything, promoting anything, just get in touch. And get you back on the show if you want. If you get the playoffs, and you want to come back on and tell what's happening, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to come back, and I appreciate you giving people like myself and clubs like ours a voice and showing interest in what we're doing. We find a lot of passion in what we do, and we wouldn't be doing it for any other reason aside from the fact that we love the beautiful game, and I'm sure you and I have that in common. And so I appreciate you a big amount, and thanks for having me on.
Not a problem, mate. Thanks very much.
Yeah, man.